Now, before we dive into the course, let me give you a little course overview, and basically this is a rough outline of what we're going to talk about and what you're going to see as you move through this course. We're going to cover a lot of information, so let's just kind of give you a roadmap here. First of all, we're going to talk about getting set up, how you go about getting SQL Server 2012, installing it, attaching the sample database that's provided out there in your work files folder, and then from there we're going to jump into the Management Studio. We'll talk about the Management Studio and SQL Server 2012, give you a little tour, show you graphical queries, although we're not going to use them on the exam very much at all, and we'll talk about some options for setting up your Management Studio environment. And then a big one, we'll talk about database diagrams to help you figure out your database, and working with getting SQL books online locally so you can use it anytime on your machine, even when you don't have internet access. Then we'll do a quick look at creating and altering database objects, and of course we're talking about creating and altering tables. We'll talk about views, altering views, dropping views, talk about constraints, triggers, creating triggers, understanding those inserted and deleted tables inside the triggers. Then we'll jump on to basic select queries, and we're talking about structure of a select query, the from, where, the order bys, group bys, having, using like in our queries and the where clause, just all kinds of things. And then we'll go into a little bit more advanced select topics like column aliasing, working with nulls, using the case statement, select into, insert into the union statement, and we'll talk about some of the other things that Microsoft's throwing at us that's new, like the offset and fetch options, intersect, all those kinds of things. A lot of information about select queries because that's kind of the heart and soul of Transact SQL. Then we'll talk about data types just a little bit, especially globally unique identifiers, the new sequential ID as opposed to new ID, and when to use those and the difference between those. And then we'll just kind of go through some basics on data types. Then we'll give you a good understanding of joins. We'll go through those together, inner joins, outer joins, cross joins. Then we'll look at the merge statement, incredibly powerful functionality in the merge statement. You see some examples on that. And we'll talk about metadata, querying those catalog views, information schema views, talk about system stored procedures and how you can use those in your programming. Then we'll take a quick look at inserts, updates, and deletes to the databases, get you well founded there, and we'll take a look at the @@ row count global variable and how you can use that to protect yourself in your own coding. Then we'll talk just a little bit about subqueries, of course, scalar subqueries, multi-valued subqueries, correlated subqueries. Then we'll jump on table expressions. Here we're talking about understanding the whole world of temporary result sets, common table expressions, derived tables, temporary tables, table variables, when to use table variables or temporary tables, all that sort of thing. Then we'll take a quick look at stored procedures, how to create them using input parameters, return codes and stored procedures. Then we'll jump on functions, built-in functions, scalar functions that you can create, table valued functions, do a little example on those. And then we'll end the course doing a little bit of work on transactions and how they affect concurrency and locking, how you can code explicit transactions, and then we'll kind of be done. But we're going to cover a lot of information. Glad you're here. Let's jump into the course and get started.